The signal moved through the cold darkness of space, a lonely echo that passed by ruined satellites, broken ships, and forgotten stars. It was not loud, and it didn't carry any words, just a pulse, a strange, rhythmic beat. No one in the galaxy paid attention to it at first. Hundreds of signals travel through space every day, some from old beacons, some from lost colonies, and some just noise. But this signal was different. It wasn't meant to be heard, and yet it reached Earth. On Earth, deep inside a forgotten bunker under the Ural Mountains, an ancient listening station blinked to life. For over 200 years, it had received nothing. No messages, no alerts. It was a ghost from the past, a leftover from a time when Earth still talked to the stars. But now, lights flashed across old screens. Dusty speakers crackled. The pulse had arrived. Major Elena Voss, retired for years, was suddenly called back. When she entered the station, she didn't believe it at first. A signal? After all this time? Earth had stopped looking outward decades ago. After the exile. After the betrayal. But she sat down, listened, and froze. The rhythm was not natural. It wasn't a distress call either. It was a key, a door trying to open. She ordered the old systems online. Across Earth, other stations were reactivated. Scientists, soldiers, and even historians gathered. They all listened to the signal. They ran it through every known code, language, and encryption system. It didn't match anything, not even the old galactic standard, but the pattern, the timing, felt like something they'd seen before, not in space, but in war. Far above Earth, in orbit, the fleet began to awaken. Massive warships, hidden in the shadows of moons and gas giants, turned slowly. For over a century, they had been silent, running dark. Their systems were still perfect. Humanity had built them not for defense, but for the day they would return. Because Earth had not forgotten. Long ago, the Galactic Council had accused humanity of crimes they didn't commit. Earth had tried to make peace, had tried to help. But the Council feared them, feared how fast humans adapted, how they fought, how they survived. So they exiled Earth, cut them off from trade, technology, and even maps. Earth became a myth, a ghost story told to alien children. But humans don't break under pressure. They prepare. So Earth disappeared. Not destroyed, just hidden. For generations, they stayed quiet, built in secret, explored in silence, until now. The signal was not from Earth. That much was clear. It came from deep within the Alari gravefield, a place where entire fleets had vanished centuries ago. No species had dared enter it since. But now this signal came from its heart, a place full of wreckage and radiation. No one should have survived there. No one should be sending anything. Major Voss made the decision. She sent a single message to High Command. It has begun. Within hours, Earth's hidden command centers activated. The old banner of Earth, a blue sphere surrounded by silver stars, was raised again. The fleet began to move. On the edge of the Sol system, the scout ship Valkyrie left first. Sleek, black, and near invisible to most sensors, it vanished into deep space. Its mission: trace the signal to its source, confirm the threat, and if needed, call the fleet. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, rumors started. Old traders heard strange things. Whole systems going silent, patrolling ships not returning, alien. Empires whispered of dark shapes moving in dead zones, of energy readings that didn't make sense. Some said it was just pirates, others thought it was a new weapon. Only a few remembered the stories of humans, of Earth. In the Zenthari capital, Grand Speaker Tol Varric watched the old data streams with growing fear. He was young when Earth was exiled, but he had studied the files. He had seen what humans had done in the wars of fire, the way they fought, without mercy when betrayed, the way they protected their own with terrifying loyalty, and how they never, ever stopped once they started. He called an emergency meeting of the Galactic Council. "We have a problem," he told them. Some laughed. "Just a signal." "No," he said. "It reached Earth." That silenced the room. The Council had believed Earth was gone, disorganized, broken. No ships, no fleets, just scattered colonies with fading power. But they were wrong. Back on Earth, in the command center buried deep beneath Antarctica, Fleet Admiral Kane watched the signal on a loop. His face was hard, cold. Around him, officers readied launch codes, navigation paths, and communication filters. Kane turned to his staff. "I want full fleet readiness in 24 hours. Tell the outer systems to stay quiet. Let the galaxy wonder." "Sir," one of the younger officers asked, "what if it's a trap?" Kane looked at him. "Then we'll spring it, and we'll bury whoever set it." Above them, the warships of Earth began to rise, silent, massive, full of purpose. A storm long forgotten was returning. And far, far away, in the heart of the Larry Gravefield, the signal pulsed again, stronger this time, as if it had noticed something, or someone, was coming. In the empty darkness between stars, space was quiet. No lights, no movement, just endless cold. But something was coming, something large, something ancient. Hidden engines hummed softly in the dark. Ships moved without sound. No transmissions, no signals, only silence. The human fleet was awake. For decades, they had waited beyond the edge of known space. Thousands of ships, battleships, carriers, stealth frigates, even planet killers, hidden behind dust clouds in asteroid belts. Under the frozen rings of gas giants, built in secret, tested in silence, powered by Earth's most advanced technologies. Some of them barely understood even by their own scientists. They had not moved in years. Until now, the scout ship Valkyrie had sent its report. It was short. "Confirmed. Signal is real. Origin, Larry Gravefield. Fleet strength threat possible. Civilian structures present. Unknown survivor transmitting. Requesting full fleet." That was all Admiral Kane needed. From a black void near the collapsed Star of Rendell 3, the fleet began to move. One by one, ships powered up, their engines bending light and gravity. Long lines of human warships entered hyperspace, disappearing into the fabric of the universe. But they didn't travel fast. No, they traveled silent. And no one noticed them. Not yet. But some felt it. In the Arcana system, a small alien cargo ship picked up strange data. The pilot, an old trader named Kellock, froze as his scanners glitched. Blips appeared, then vanished, then appeared again. Shapes too big, too perfect, moving in tight formations. He had seen ships like that, once long ago, during the Council Wars. He whispered to himself, "Deathworlders." He didn't even finish his delivery. He turned his ship and ran. Meanwhile, on the Council capital world of Syraxis Prime, panic was growing. Grand Speaker Tol Varric had demanded surveillance of deep space. But the Council was slow, divided. Some believed Earth had no real power. Others feared they had made a mistake years ago by pushing humans out. But it was too late now. The signal had reached Earth, and Earth had answered. Back near the Alari Gravefield, the first human ships arrived. Not the full fleet, just an advance group. 4 destroyers and a mobile command unit. They did not announce their presence. They simply arrived in orbit over the wreckage planet called Dranix 4, where the signal came from. The planet was dead, ash-colored, windless, covered in wreckage. From old battles, broken hulls, shattered towers, bones of long-dead species. No lights, no power. But one structure stood tall, a black spire, smooth and shining. And from inside it, the signal continued to pulse. The humans sent in a team. Dressed in armor darker than night, they dropped silently onto the surface. Each step kicked up dust that hadn't moved in 100 years. Their weapons were silent. Their helmets showed everything: heat, movement, radiation. But they found nothing until they reached the spire. Inside, there was light. A single blue orb floating mid-air. It pulsed with the same rhythm as the signal. And near it, a shape, a life form, barely alive. It wasn't human. She was Illyri, a race thought extinct after the Gravefield Wars. Skin pale as bone, eyes glowing faint gold, breathing slow. She looked up as the soldiers approached. Her voice was weak, but clear. "You came," she whispered. "Who sent the signal?" the human leader asked. "I did." "Why?" "Because I had no one else," she said. "And I remembered Earth." They took her back to the command ship, gave her oxygen, food, medical care. She had been alone for over 50 years, and still alive. That alone was shocking. When Admiral Kane heard her story, his face hardened. She told them the truth. The signal was not just a call for help, it was a warning. Something else was waking in the Gravefield. An old power, a machine that devoured whole systems. It had started moving again. She had sent the signal in fear, hoping someone would hear, never thinking Earth would answer. But Earth had not just heard it. They had prepared. The Admiral sent new orders. Full fleet to arrive at Draenix 4 within 48 hours. Planetary scans of surrounding space. Intercept any alien vessels near the system. No contact, no warning. This was now a controlled zone. The humans moved fast. In less than a day, the dark sky above Draenix 4 filled with ships. Thousands of them. Drones zipped between formations. Carriers unfolded like flowers, launching fighter swarms. Shield generators created invisible domes of protection. The galaxy still didn't know, but whispers were growing. On the border world of Kelvarn, traders spoke of a black fleet with no flags. On Vortari stations, pirates reported losing ships to silent hunters. Rumors flew across communication hubs. Earth was back. The humans were moving. And no one knew why. In the quiet of deep space, far from all stars, the Illyri woman stood beside Admiral Kane on the deck of the command ship. She looked at the massive fleet through the glass. "They're not ready," she said. "Who?" the Admiral asked. "The galaxy," she replied. "They don't remember what Earth can do." Kane didn't smile. He simply gave the order. "Prepare for system lockdown. If the Council asks questions, tell them nothing. Let them be afraid." Because the fleet had arrived, and the galaxy would soon learn. Humanity never forgets, and never forgives. The planet Virex 9 was peaceful. Green skies, silver oceans, and cities made of glass and light. It was a Council-controlled world, known for trade and luxury. It had no armies, no weapons beyond simple security drones. The people of Virex believed in order, not war. After all, the Council protected them, but that protection was based on a lie. And the humans were coming. No warning was given, no message was sent. One morning, the skies above Virex simply changed. A shadow passed over the capital city of Gelthar. Not a cloud, not a storm, but a ship. Massive. Silent. It blocked the sun completely. The people looked up in fear. It wasn't Council. It wasn't pirate. And it wasn't anything they had seen before. It was human. They didn't know that yet. They only saw the shape. Dark metal. No insignia. No lights. It just hovered there, like a sword waiting to fall. Then the message came. Not a broadcast, not a speech, just a short pulse, intercepted by the planetary network. "You sent the signal. Now you will answer." The people of Virex didn't understand. What signal? What answer? The Council leaders tried to contact the ship. No reply. They sent a drone up. It didn't return. Moments later, the main spaceport shut down. Every communication tower fell silent. No one on Virex could speak to the outside galaxy. Then the attack began. It wasn't a full invasion. There were no troops, no landing parties. The human ship simply opened a section of its hull and released orbital fire. White beams of focused plasma shot down in perfect lines. Not chaotic, not random, planned. They hit military targets first, shield generators, defense nodes, command stations. Then the orbital docks, then the energy grid. In 2 minutes, the entire city of Gelthar lost power. The Council guards tried to fight back. They launched 3 defense drones. All were destroyed before they even reached the ship. They didn't explode. They just stopped flying. Systems dead, falling like metal birds from the sky. Panic spread across Virex. People fled their homes. Some ran to the spaceports. Others tried to hide in the forests. But the humans weren't there to kill civilians. They weren't there for war. This was a message. And that message was fear. From space, the human crew watched the chaos below without a word. Their leader, Commander Reyes, stood on the bridge of the warship Revenant. His face was cold, focused. "Scan complete," one officer said. "Target location found. Transmitting coordinates to fleet." Reyes nodded. "Begin extraction protocol." Below, on the edge of the city ruins, a small structure remained untouched. It looked like a museum, ancient, unimportant. But deep beneath it was a hidden chamber. And inside that chamber was what the humans had come for. They sent in a drop. Team, 10 black-armored soldiers. No flags, no emblems, just death in human form. They landed quietly and entered the building. The security systems didn't even register them. They moved like shadows, disabling cameras, avoiding guards. Within minutes, they were inside the chamber. It was filled with old technology, forgotten pieces from the Council Wars. Most of it useless. Except for one item, a small cube, glowing faint blue, a piece of human origin, stolen long ago during the exile. The lead soldier picked it up. "Item secured." As they moved to leave, an alien security officer stepped into their path. He looked terrified but brave. He raised his weapon. "Stop! Who are you?" The human didn't reply. He just aimed and fired. The alien fell. They left without delay. No civilians were harmed. No buildings were touched. Only the cube mattered. Back on the ship, Commander Reyes placed the cube on a table. Admiral Kane's voice came through the screen. "Is it the one?" "Yes, sir. Genlock archive. Original Earth encoding. Hidden for years." Kane's face showed no emotion. "Good. Let the Council think we attacked without reason. Let them wonder." Reyes nodded. "Should we leave a warning?" Kane paused for a second, then said, "No. Our actions are enough." As the Revenant turned away from Virex, the skies slowly cleared. Power returned to some parts of the planet. People came out of hiding, but nothing would ever be the same. They had seen the ship. They had felt the fear, and the Council had no explanation. Hours later, a meeting was called in the Council chambers. On Syraxis Prime, screens showed video from Virex, black ships, orbital strikes, dead silence. No broadcasts, no demands, only action. Speaker Tol Varric stood at the center. This was not piracy. This was not rebellion. This was a message. "From who?" someone asked. The answer was already on everyone's lips. "Earth," someone whispered. Panic grew. If humans could strike a Council world so easily, what would stop them from doing it again? But no one said it out loud, because everyone already knew. Nothing. And somewhere deep in space, more ships moved. More coordinates were set. Earth was not just back. Earth was angry. The council chambers on Saraxis Prime were never quiet. Diplomats argued, speakers shouted, and deals were made every minute. But today, silence filled the room like poison. No one spoke. No one moved. They just stared at the screen. It showed a recording from Virex 9, a massive black warship blocking the sky, precision orbital strikes, no warning, no demands, and then nothing, no explanation. The ship had left as silently as it came. The recording ended. The lights in. The chamber stayed dim. Grand Speaker Tol Varric stood slowly, his hands shaking just enough for others to notice. "We are not dealing with pirates," he said. "This was organized, tactical, efficient. And I believe, no, I know it came from Earth." Murmurs rose at once. Some denied it. Some shouted. Some sat in fear. One counselor, an elder from the Yarnus sector, slammed his hand on the table. "Impossible! Earth was exiled. They have no fleets." Tol Varric raised his voice, sharp as a blade. "You think we kept them weak? We abandoned Earth. We cut them off and left them in the dark. But humans are not like us. They grow stronger in shadows." A cold silence followed. "Then what do we do?" someone asked. "Send a fleet?" another replied. "To where? They're ghosts. They come and vanish. Our sensors don't even detect them." Counselor Yerna, head of the technological branch, stood with a grim face. "We have been watching deep space activity for years. Patterns that didn't make sense. Entire sectors with low energy readings, like something huge was passing through. We now believe it was them. Moving. Preparing." A young diplomat from the Solari Republic asked, "Why now? Why are they returning?" That question no one could answer. Not yet. Back in human-controlled space, Admiral Kane stood in front of a darkened hollow map. It showed targets, council outposts, black sites, planets hiding stolen human tech. One by one, they were being checked off. Standing beside him, Commander Reyes watched silently. "We've confirmed," Kane said. "They're still using our tech, modified, twisted. After exiling us, they didn't throw it away. They used it. That's why we're hitting them. Not for revenge, for justice." "And what if they beg?" Reyes asked. "What if they call for peace?" Kane's face stayed blank. "Then we know they're scared." In a hidden chamber beneath Earth's main fleet command, the Alari survivor from the grave field sat with Earth's top intelligence officers. She looked pale, tired, but determined. "They won't understand," she said quietly. "The Council doesn't know what's coming. They still think they're in control, but your return, it has already broken that illusion." "Do they know about the machine?" an officer asked. She shook her head. "They don't even believe it's real. They think the grave field is cursed. But I saw it. Waking. Feeding. And the signal I sent, it wasn't just a warning. It was a door." "A door?" the officer asked. She nodded slowly. "A key that woke up something terrible, something old." The officer took a breath and said, "Then we need to act faster." Meanwhile, back in council space, rumors spread like wildfire. On the outer colony of Karen, a black human cruiser was seen hovering over a council storage vault. By the time reinforcements arrived, the vault was empty. On an orbital prison, in the Drennick sector, security systems recorded brief human movement. A prisoner, a former Earth diplomat, was taken. No casualties, no damage, just precision. The galaxy began to panic. On news networks, reporters showed blurred images of sleek black ships. They called them ghost fleets. Some said they were AI-controlled. Others believed they were mythical death-worlders returning from exile. One thing was clear: no one could stop them. Back in the council chambers, Speaker Tolveric made an unexpected proposal. "We will send a message," he said, "to Earth, a formal one." Shouts followed. "You can't be serious. They'll laugh at us. They'll kill us all." But Tolveric raised his hand. "If we don't speak now, we may never get the chance. I don't care if they ignore us. We need to try." And so, the message was written. It was not proud. It was not demanding. It was simple. "To the leadership of Earth, we recognize your power. We request conversation, not war. Please respond." The message was sent, and the council waited. 1 hour passed, then 2, then 10, and finally, a reply. It wasn't long, just one line. "You had your chance." The room went cold. Speaker Tolveric sat down, shaking his head. "They're not here to talk." A silent dread spread through every system in the galaxy, because everyone now understood. This was not about territory. This was not about trade. This was about everything the Council had buried. Earth was digging it all back up, and this time, no one would be able to stop them. The people of the galaxy used to laugh when someone mentioned Earth, a forgotten world, a dead home of violent creatures. The Council had exiled them generations ago, cutting all diplomatic ties, shutting down all trade, erasing them from maps. But now no one was laughing. From one side of the galaxy to the other, reports came in. Reports of black ships, of entire Council outposts being emptied without a single shot fired, of secret storage sites stripped clean, of satellites disappearing, of Council patrols vanishing mid-flight. Earth wasn't invading, Earth was hunting on. The edge of the Erix Belt, a small Council station, sat hidden inside a hollow asteroid. It was a secret facility known only to the highest members of the Council. Inside, they stored weapons, old artifacts, and one particular item, a relic stolen from Earth during the exile. That night, the facility went dark. No alarms, no explosion, just silence. The next morning, a supply drone arrived to deliver rations. It found the entrance door open, the lights off, and every guard unconscious. The relic was gone. On the wall, written in perfect standard galactic, were 3 words: "We never forget." The Council scrambled. They ordered increased patrols, tighter border control, faster communication networks. But it didn't matter. The humans were always ahead. Back on Earth, in the Fleet Command Tower orbiting the moon, Admiral Kane stood with his officers. On the screen behind him were dozens of red dots, each one a completed mission. Each one a victory. He turned to the room. "We've shaken the Council, but they still don't know why we're here." Commander Reyes stepped forward. "Do we tell them?" Kane shook his head. "No, not yet. Let them sweat. Let them guess. We keep hitting targets connected to the exile. That's our message." Another officer added, "The galaxy is afraid. Fear is spreading faster than our ships." "Good," Kane replied. "Fear is the first step to understanding." Meanwhile, on a Council capital ship, panic was spreading among the top leaders. Speaker Tolveric tried to keep control, but even his voice no longer carried weight. Systems were breaking down. Colonies were refusing to pay Council taxes. Small planets were pulling out of alliances. They had seen Earth's ships. They had seen the precision, the speed, the silence, and they had lost faith. "We must respond with strength," shouted Councillor Durnek, slamming his fist. "Send fleets. Attack Earth." "With what?" Yerna, the science advisor, asked. "Our ships. Can't even track them. We don't know where Earth's fleet is." "Then we rebuild our defenses," said another. "Reinforce the borders." Speaker Varick leaned forward. His voice was calm but deadly. "No defense will work. You don't understand. Earth doesn't. Come through gates. They don't fly in formation. They appear. They strike. They vanish." He paused, then said the words no one wanted to hear. "They are everywhere." That same day, across the galaxy, a council propaganda center released a message to the public. It was meant to calm the population. Do not fear. The council remains strong. The situation is under control. It aired on every screen. It lasted 30 seconds. But before the message could finish, the feed glitched. Then it changed. A new video appeared, grainy, shadowed. A camera pointed at a long, dark table. Seated at the head was a human in full black armor. His voice was clear, cold. You erased us. You exiled us. You stole from us. And now you pretend we never existed. But we do. And we remember. The video cut off. The galaxy exploded in panic. The council tried to trace the signal. They couldn't. It had been broadcast from dozens of hidden relay points across multiple systems. Every trace led to a dead end. The message was simple and powerful. Earth was no longer waiting to be found. Earth was watching. In quiet homes, people whispered. In spaceports, traders looked over their shoulders. In military ships, commanders questioned their orders. And slowly, something terrifying began to happen. Respect. It started small. A minor colony on the edge of known space removed the council flag and raised an old, forgotten symbol, the Earth insignia. Soon, others followed. Not many, but enough to scare the council. One officer said it out loud during a private council briefing. They're not just attacking. They're winning hearts. Because deep inside, many species remembered Earth's history. Not the version the council told, but the truth. That when Earth fought, they fought with fire. But when they protected, they did so with everything they had. Now they were back, and no one knew if they had returned as saviors or executioners. Back on the human fleet command, the Alari survivor stood beside Admiral Kane, watching new data scroll across the screen. They're starting to crack, she said softly. They'll beg soon, Kane replied. And will you listen? She asked. Kane didn't answer. He simply turned to the window and watched Earth rise slowly behind the curve of the moon. The shadow of Earth was spreading, and no one in the galaxy could stop it now. In the deep halls of the Council's intelligence core, panic had become the new normal. Systems flickered. Reports came in faster than they could be read. Planets falling silent. Patrols disappearing. Civil unrest rising. The name whispered. On every world was the same. Earth. But no one understood how. The humans were everywhere, but invisible. They struck from shadows. They left no trace, only silence and fear. Counselor Yerna slammed her datapad onto the table. This is no longer a war of ships. This is a war of information, and we are losing. Speaker Tolveric nodded, exhausted. They knew where to strike, they knew what to take, and they knew how we would respond. A silence followed. Then someone said it aloud. They've infiltrated us. The idea froze the room. It was impossible, not wasn't it? But then came the report from Calthus 3. A council admiral, trusted for decades, was caught transmitting encrypted data. Not to pirates, not to rebels, but to an unknown channel. When arrested, he said only 2 words before taking a poison capsule. For Earth. Investigations began. Quiet ones, secret ones. What they found shook the entire core. Officials in 10 different systems were communicating with someone outside council space. Engineers in shipyards had been modifying systems, not enough to notice at first, but just enough to weaken responses. Defense grids were mysteriously delayed during attacks. High-security storage units had been unlocked from the inside. The truth could no longer be denied. The shadow of Earth had already spread. It was already inside the Council. Back on Earth's side of the galaxy, Commander Reyes stood aboard the flagship Revenant, going through the next set of missions. One by one, the targets were being eliminated, not with force, but with silence. Their agents were on every major Council world. No bombs, no invasions, just information, secrets stolen back, lies exposed. Humanity wasn't just reclaiming its honor. They were turning the Council's own systems against them. Admiral Kane entered the room, silent as always. He looked at the screen and saw a list of planets marked compromised. "They know," Reyes said. "Let them," Kane replied. "But what happens when they retaliate?" Kane turned, his voice colder than ever. "They already did. When they exiled us, when they stole our history. This isn't retaliation. This is correction." Across the galaxy, people began to wake up. On worlds where Council fear once ruled, new symbols appeared. A child on Xenthos wore a patch on her jacket, Earth's old flag. On the mining colonies of Drenna, workers stopped, responding to Council orders. On a moon base near Alari space, the Council statue was toppled and replaced by a new one, a silent human figure with the words, "Truth returns." The Council tried to stop it. They shut down networks. They banned Earth symbols. They declared it treason. But it was too late. The idea had spread, and it could not be killed. In a hidden underground broadcast studio, a human voice echoed across forbidden channels. "You erased us. You called us monsters. But now we walk among you, not with chains, not with war, with truth. And truth always finds a way." Meanwhile, in the Grand Council meeting on Syraxis Prime, desperation had taken hold. "We need allies," someone shouted. "We need support from the outer sectors." "They won't help us," another replied. "They don't trust us anymore." Councillor Dernek stood. "Then we use force, total control, no more negotiations, martial law." Speaker Tol Varek stood slowly. "Force won't help. It's already inside. We are not fighting an army. We are fighting an idea born from our betrayal." He looked out the tall glass windows, across the shining city of Syraxis. "How do you silence something that lives in every whisper?" In the lower levels of the city, whispers were already growing. A merchant handed a child a small badge with Earth's emblem. A soldier refused to fire on a peaceful protest. A council technician quietly transferred encrypted data to an unknown channel. His hand trembling, but his heart calm. "Why?" his assistant asked. He replied softly, "Because I remember what they did. I remember the exile, and I remember the lie." Back in Earth's command center, the Alari survivor watched as reports came in. Riots on council worlds, disappearances of corrupt officials, new broadcasts from unknown resistance groups. "They're tearing themselves apart," she said. Admiral Kane gave a small nod. "That was always the plan." "But when do you stop?" she asked. "When does this end?" Kane turned to the giant star map behind him. "When they admit the truth," he said, "and return what they stole. And if they don't," his eyes narrowed, "then we keep going, until the galaxy remembers who we are." In the dark of space, Earth's shadow continued to grow, silent, precise, unstoppable. And the galaxy finally began to understand. You can exile a world, but you cannot exile the truth. The skies above Syraxis Prime turned black without warning. Not from storm clouds, not from nightfall, but from ships. Thousands of them. Silent, motionless, deadly. The Earth fleet had arrived, not with speeches, not with demands, but with a silence that made every soul on the planet freeze. From the council tower to the lowest mining sectors, beings of every species looked up and saw the sky vanish beneath the shadow of Earth's return. Speaker Tol Varek stood at the top of the grand hall, staring out the window. His hands were trembling. "They're not hiding anymore," he whispered. No one responded. No one had words. Above the planet, Earth's ships did not fire. They did not threaten. They just waited. Inside the flagship Revenant, Admiral Kane stood with his officers in complete calm. The room was dark, lit only by the quiet hum of systems tracking every signal from the surface. "They see us," Commander Reyes said. "They've always seen us," Kane replied. "They just never believed we'd come back this way." Back on the surface, the Council scrambled. Every defense platform was ready, shields raised, weapons primed. But no one gave the order to fire. They couldn't. Because in every heart, even the bravest general, there was one truth no one could speak. If we shoot, we die. The Earth fleet was not like the old reports from the exile days. These ships weren't rusted or patched. They weren't the desperate designs of a cornered world. They were art, designed for war, shaped like nightmares, and powered by technology no one understood. Counselor Yerna stared at the fleet scan. Her voice cracked as she said, "We don't even have names for these class types." "They've gone beyond us," another whispered. "They've surpassed us." A message pinged through the Council's main channel. No encryption, no trick, just a single open file. It contained one sentence. "Return what was stolen." Speaker Tolveric stood still for a long time. Then he nodded. "Send it all," he said. "Every piece, every file, every lie we buried. Send it." Counselor Durnek shouted, "We can't! That will collapse the entire council." Varric turned, with fire in his eyes. "Then let it collapse." The data upload began. Thousands of files streamed out. Project names long hidden. Reports of Earth's exile being a political move, not a justified one. Evidence of human tech being stolen and sold in secret. And one final document, the truth behind the Gravefield signal. It wasn't a weapon. It was a warning. And Earth had been the only one who listened. The truth spread like fire. On every planet, citizens saw what the Council tried to bury. They saw Earth not as monsters, but as the only species that had tried to stop what was coming. And then came the final broadcast. From Earth, Admiral Kane appeared on every screen. His voice was low, controlled, but powerful. "You exiled us. You erased us. But we survived, not just with strength, but with purpose. We are not here for revenge. We are here for truth." He paused. "Let this be the last war of silence. Let the galaxy remember that Earth will never kneel, not to fear, not to corruption, not to lies." He looked directly into the camera. "Return to truth, or prepare to be forgotten." Then the screen went dark. The Earth fleet didn't fire. They didn't need to. The galaxy had already surrendered, not to power, but to truth. Days later, the Council disbanded. Worlds declared independence. Old alliances broke. New ones formed. And across the stars, a single message was whispered from world to world. Earth came back. But it wasn't Earth's military that truly changed everything. It was the idea of Earth. The idea that a world once broken, once shunned, had risen in silence, and returned not with chaos, but with clarity. Back on Earth, in a quiet room under the fleet command, the Alari survivor sat beside Admiral Kane. She smiled faintly. "They fear you, but some of them also hope." Kane nodded. "That's enough." She looked out the window, watching Earth's ships return in formation. "What now?" she asked. "Now," Kane said, "we watch, and we wait. And if the stars ever forget the truth again," he turned, "we remind them." And so, the galaxy changed, not with fire, not with blood, but with a fleet that spoke no words, because sometimes the loudest voice is the one that doesn't need to speak at all.